I've been doing a polyglot reading of the Beatitudes in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5. And we're looking at the Greek, the Latin, and the Hebrew. And what I'm trying to do as I do it is to do grammar as well. So I would like to begin with just to read up to where I had gone before. For anyone that might want to follow or to work at this themselves, you can find the Greek text. If you don't have a Greek New Testament, you can find the Greek text on Google online, and then also the Latin. And I have been using at least several Hebrew versions, but the one that I have been using is by Delitzsch, Franz Delitzsch, and it's a wonderful work that he did in putting the New Testament, the Brit Hadashah, in Hebrew. And it helps us to hear what Jesus, I believe, would have sounded like, possibly, or prayed. It's my conviction, and I follow Delitzsch on this, that Jesus would have taught in Hebrew. This was the language that was spoken in the synagogue. It was the language that, let's say, the rabbis would read and would speak when they were teaching. And I personally agree with Delitzsch. Flusser held the same point of view. So what I'm going to be doing is reading the Greek and then doing some grammatical analysis of the Greek and also of the Latin and the Hebrew. And so we just by way of review, we started the Beatitudes last time, and I believe where I left off was concerning the pure in heart. But let me just review it. Makarioi hoi patoi to pneumati, hatiaton esten he basileia ton urano, which would be in the Greek, blessed are the poor in spirit, for belonging to them is the kingdom of heaven. And then we have Beati papere spiritu, quianiam ipsorum es regnum caelorum, which would be the Latin, blessed are the poor in spirit, because of them is the reign of the heavens. And then verse 4, I need to read the Hebrew as well. I've been trying to review all of this. In Hebrew, it begins, and this print is so small, I'm using a magnifying glass. Ashrei, let me just go back here. Yes. Ashrei aniyei haruach ki lahem malchut ha-shamayim. That is, blessed are they who are of humble in spirit, for belonging to them is the rule of the heavens. And then we go to the next verse, and we've already done some grammatical analysis in another video. It goes on then, Makarioi hoi penthuntas, hatiautoi parakletes santai. That is, blessed are they who mourn, because they shall be comforted. And beati qui lugent quianiam ipsi consolabuntur. Same in the Latin, they shall be comforted, a future passive. And then we move to the Hebrew of that. And as we read the Hebrew, it reads, Ashrei ha'avelim, blessed are they that mourn, ki hem Yin Hamu. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And then moving to the next verse in the Greek, Makarioi hoi praes, hati autoi klerana mesusin tein gain. That is, blessed are the gentle, because they will inherit the earth. And the Latin, beati mites, quianiam ipsi pasidebunt terram. Blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth. And going to the Hebrew, I have a bigger text here that's a little bit easier for me to see. This is not Delitzsch, but it's another Hebrew rendering. It reads, Ashrei ha'anavim ki hem yerushu et ha'aretz. That is, blessed are the gentle, because they will inherit the earth. And then in verse 6, and we've done the grammar already in these verses. So verse 6 then reads about hungering and thirsting after righteousness. Makarioi hoi penuntes kai dipsontes tein de kaiasunen, chati autoi kortas the santai. That is, blessed are they who hunger and who thirst for righteousness, because they shall be filled. And then, beati quia suriunt, kai sitiunt justitiam, quianiam ipsi saturabuntur. That is, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for justitiam, for righteousness, because they shall be satisfied. They shall be filled, actually saturated, filled. And then the Hebrew of that we'll read, just catching up here, doing some catch up. Ashrei hare'evim kai hatsemeim litzdaka. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, ki hem yisba'u, for they shall be satisfied. And then we're at verse 7, where we stopped last time. Let me just read that in the Greek. Makarioi hoi eleemanes hatiautoi eleethesantai. That is, blessed are the merciful ones, for they shall be pitied, or they shall receive mercy. And the Latin then reads, Beati misericordes, quia ipsi misericordiam consequentur. The same, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. And then looking at the Hebrew reading of that, it reads, Ashrei harachamanim ki hem yeruhamu. That is, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. That's where we stopped last time. And I did grammar, and now I'm going to pick up at the next verse, and we'll look at the grammar as we go. So we're at verse 8. Makarioi hoi katharoi te kardia, hatiautoi tanta an hapsantai. Notice it reads, blessed are the pure in heart, because they shall see God. This goes back to Psalm 24, where we have the cleanness of heart. And those that are pure in heart toward the Lord, Jesus says, they will see God. And then reading from the, I should point out some grammar here. Blessed are the pure in heart. Hapsamai is the future indicative, middle, from harao, third person plural. They shall see God. And then the Latin reading, Beati mundo corde, blessed are the pure in heart, quianiam ipsi deum videbun, for they shall, because they themselves shall see God. Notice videbun is your future indicative active third person plural from videri, for they shall see God. And then the Hebrew, uh, reading the Hebrew of that same verse, Ashrei barei levav, that is, blessed are the pure in heart, ki hem yeru'u et Elohim, that is, blessed are the pure of heart. Here we have a plural noun in construct with levav, blessed are the pure of heart. Why? Because they will see Yeru'u et Elohim. Yeru'u is your from Ra'ah, a final lamed hey verb, to see. It's the cow imperfect third person singular, masculine singular from Ra'ah. So those that are pure in heart will see God. Beautiful in the Hebrew. Ashrei barei levav ki hem yeru'u et Elohim. Then we move to verse 9, and verse 9 then goes on. Makarioi hoi ere na koi oi, hati altoi huioi theu plete santai. That is, blessed are those that make peace, the peacemakers, because they shall be called the sons of God. Notice here, the one form is the verb santai from kaleo, the future indicative passive third person plural from kaleo. So blessed are those that make peace, the peacemakers, because they will be the ones that will truly see God. And then the Latin, reading the Latin, reads Beati pacifici quianiam filii Dei vocabuntur. That is, blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called the sons of God. So basically, vocabuntur from vocare is your future indicative passive in Latin, then third person plural. So they shall see God, those that are seeking to make peace. And we live in a very unpeaceful time, but it's wonderful to know that Jesus says those that make peace will really see God, and they shall be called the sons of God. Notice the Hebrew reads, Asreo se shalom, ki b'nei Elohim yikara'u. That is, blessed are those who make shalom, peace. Ose is your cow participle, masculine plural from asa, those who make peace. Shalom is the Hebrew for peace. Ki b'nei Elohim, because sons of God. Here we have the noun b'nei from ben, meaning son, plural masculine form in construct with Elohim. For sons of God, yikare, they shall be called. Notice yikare is from kara, to call. Here we have a nifal imperfect, third plural, third masculine plural from kara. The nifal is indicated here by the hirik under the yod, the doggish forte in the kof, telling us that a noon has assimilated, the noon of the nifal stem. So yen karu became yikaru in the historical development of Hebrew. So the good news is those who make peace are happy, because they shall be called the sons of God. Because the Lord wants peace and not conflict. I think the opposite of what the Lord wants is conflict. And so he's saying, this is what my disciples will look like, those that follow what the rabbi, what Jesus teaches. Then we move on to the next verse, and that is verse 10. Makarioi hoi dediogemenoi henaken de kaiasunes. Hate auton estin he basilea ton uranon. That is, happy are those who have been persecuted on account of righteousness, because belonging to them is the kingdom of heaven. Notice here, dediogemenoi, those who have been persecuted. Here we have a participle, a perfect passive participle, nominative masculine plural, from dioko, to persecute. The verb can mean to pursue or persecute, and here it clearly means to persecute. So blessed are those who have been persecuted on account of the Lord, he's saying, on account of righteousness, of serving him and doing what he calls his followers to do. And then he goes on to say, because belonging to them, auton estin he basilea ton urono. That is, because of them is the kingdom of the heavens. And we've said before that Malchut HaShemayim in Hebrew, the kingdom of heavens, is another way of saying kingdom of God. And so Jesus is teaching here that those who have been persecuted on account of righteousness, and I'm taking that to mean on account of those who follow him and who follow Christ and his righteousness, who are persecuted, that they can be happy, because it shows that to them belong the rule of the heavens. And the Latin reads, Beati qui persecutionem patientur propter justitiam, quianiam ipsorum est regnum caelorem. That is, blessed are they who have received persecution, who suffer persecution on account of righteousness, because of them is the reign of the heavens. And notice, ipsorum is a genitive plural, and regnum is the accusative, followed by the genitive plural, caelorem, of the heavens. And then the Hebrew reads of that verse, Ashrei hanirdafim beklal hadsedekah, ki lahem malchut hashemayim. That is, blessed are they who are persecuted on account of tzedakah. Tzedakah here in the Beatitudes looks at practical righteousness, the way one lives. And I think this goes back to the Hebrew Bible in relationship to the Lord. And here Jesus is saying those who follow him will be persecuted, but the good news is, make sure it's on account of tzedakah, of righteousness for him. Ki lahem malchut hashemayim, for belonging to them is the kingdom of the heavens. Notice here, blessed are they who are persecuted. Nirdafim, I'm understanding from the root radaf, to persecute, and I'm taking this as a nifal participle, plural, masculine plural from radaf. Notice the noon prefix along with the definite article. So blessed are they who have been persecuted on account of tzedakah, righteousness. So it's interesting that the Greek uses the perfect passive participle, where here in the Hebrew it's the nifal, which has passive nifal participle in my take on it, because of righteousness. For to them is the Malchut HaShemayim, is the kingdom of the heavens. Then we move on to the next verse, and this will be the last of the Beatitudes. And notice it reads, I'm reading in verse 11. Makarioi estin haten an anedisosin humas kai dioxusin kai aposin pan paneran kath kumen pseudaminoi henaken emu. That is, whenever they revile you and persecute you and say all evil against you, lying or falsely, on account of me. And then he's going to go on to say, rejoice. Notice here, whenever anedisosin is from anedidzo, it's your aorist subjunctive, third person plural from anedidzo. Hatan is introducing the subjunctive here. It's the aorist subjunctive. So whenever they revile you and persecute you and say, notice dioxosin is also the aorist subjunctive, third person plural from dioko, should persecute and say. Aposin is from lego, the aorist subjunctive, third plural from lego, all evil against you, lying or falsely. Pseudaminoi is from pseudomai. Here we have a present participle, middle, nominative, masculine plural from pseudo or pseudomai, lying on account of me. That is, whenever you're being persecuted and they say all evil against you, if it's on account of me, then Jesus says you can rejoice. Notice the Latin reads, Beati estis cum maledixerunt vobis, kai persecuti vos, fuerent et dixerent omni malam adversam vos mentientes propter me. That is, blessed are you when they should speak evil against you, and you shall be persecuted, and they shall say all evil against you, lying. And we have a participle again, mentientes, on account of me. So whenever you experience maltreatment and evil words against you, if it's on account of me, then Jesus will say you can rejoice. It's interesting. I'll read the Hebrew at that point. And I'm reading, yes, verse 11 in the Hebrew. It reads, Ashrehem et Yecharafu, or Yecharafu, Vayerdefu etchem, Vaya'alilu alechem. biklali. That is, happy are you whenever they reproach you and persecute you and say against you on account or speak against you on account of my name. And here, Yerdefu from Radaf, to persecute, the count imperfect, a third person plural, masculine plural from Radaf. Uh, so whenever they speak evil and against you and persecute you, allow to speak and should speak all evil against you, or against you, literally the Hebrew, on account of me. Then he's going to say, you can rejoice. So we come to the last verse, which would be verse 13. verse, excuse me, verse 12. Karate kai agialaste hateha mistas humon palus in tois uranois, hutos gar edioxon tus prophetas tus pra humon. That is, rejoice and be glad, because your reward is much in heaven. For thus they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Notice as we look at this, karata is from Cairo, meaning to rejoice. Here we have the imperative, the present imperative, second person plural from Cairo. So rejoice and be glad. Agialiamai is meaning to rejoice greatly. Here again we have the present middle, imperative from liamai. Rejoice, hatihap mistas humon palus intois uranois, because your reward is much in the heavens. For thus, edioxon is from dioko, aorist indicative active third person plural from dioko. They persecuted the prophets which were before you. And the Latin, reading the Latin, it reads, Gaudita kai exultate, quianiam merces vestra copiosa est in caelis, siginem persecuti sunt prophetas qui fuerunt ante vos. That is, rejoice and be glad, because your reward is copious. I like that. Is much in heaven. For thus the prophets have been persecuted. Here we have a participial form with sunt, have been persecuted, a perfect passive participial construction for the prophets have been persecuted, which were before you, fuerunt ante vos. And then the Hebrew, reading the Hebrew there, notice it says, let me just find the verse here again, chapter 5, and we're at verse 12. Simhu v'gilu ki sacharchem rab b'shamayim, harei kach radafu et ha-nevi'im shechayu lifnechem. That is, rejoice and be glad, for your reward is much in heaven. Wherefore, just as they were persecuted, just as they persecuted the prophets which were before you. Notice here we have Radafu from Radaf, a cow perfect, third per common plural from Radaf. So really, two imperatives again. Simhu v'gilu, be glad and rejoice, because your reward, secharhim, is much in the heavens, because thus they persecuted Radafu et ha-nevi'im, the prophets, shehayu lifnechem, which were before you. Notice hayu is just your cow perfect, third common plural from haya. So, what a beautiful text teaching how the disciples of Jesus should live. And just to read it again in the Hebrew, I love the Hebrew here, just to read it one more time in Hebrew. Ashrei haniyeh haruach ki lahem malchut hashemayim. Blessed are the poor of spirit, for belonging to them is the kingdom of the heavens. Ashrei hahavelim ki hem yenuchamu. That is, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Ashrei ha'anavim ki hem yerushu et ha'aretz. Blessed are the gentle, because they will inherit the earth. Ashrei ha're'evim v'hatsemehim litzedakah ki hem yisba'u. That is, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Ashrei harachamanim ki hem yeruchamu. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be pitied. Ashrei barei levav ki hem yeru'u et Elohim. Blessed are the pure of heart, because they will see God. Ashrei osei shalom ki b'nei Elohim yikarei, or yikaru. That is, blessed are they who practice or who do peace, because they shall be called the sons of God. Ashrei ha-nir dafim beklal ha-tzedakim ki lahem melchut ha-shemayim. Blessed are they who are persecuted on account of righteousness, because to them is the rule of the heavens. Ashreichem im yeharafu v'yerdafu etchem v'ya'alilu alechem biklali. That is, happy are they who have evil spoken against them, and those who persecute them, those who speak evil and persecute you, I should say, and say evil on account of me. And then simhu v'gilu ki secharchem rav b'shamayim harechach radafu et ha-nevi'im shehayu lifnechem. That is, rejoice and be glad, for your reward is much in heaven, because thus they persecuted the prophets which were before you. May the Lord bless the reading of the Beatitudes. And I believe what Jesus is saying is, those that are his followers and who believe in him, this is the life that they should live. Thank you. I hope this is helpful to someone. Thank you.